Well, hello, people of St. Bart's. Hope that you're doing well. We are very much into the season of Lent at this point. Last week, we had our Ash Wednesday service, and I spoke on Lent as an invitation into further intimacy with God. In the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 6, Jesus talks about prayer and fasting and almsgiving. And as he talks about each of those things, he says, your Father who sees you in secret will reward you. And I talked about Lent being this opportunity, an invitation to come into intimate contact with the Father, to meet with the Father in our practices, in our habits, and to ask questions about our own motivations. What's motivating us right now? What's fueling us right now? And to ask God to speak into those things. I mention that because this Sunday we'll continue our series on the book of Lamentations, and I'll be preaching out of Lamentations chapter 2, which has a lot to say about why it is that Israel was sent into exile by God. We have to acknowledge the reality that the exile that Israel experienced was because of their continued refusal to turn to God in repentance. So one of the big words in this passage is a word that's very difficult theologically and emotionally to grapple with, which is the word wrath, the wrath of God. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I want to encourage you at the outset to think about the invitation, that there's always invitation to turn back to God. And that the theme of exile tells us that there are times when there are consequences for continually turning away from God. And those are hard words, but I hope that we can pull up the hope in them and the good news in those words as well. Just a couple of quick other things, housekeeping things. One, daylight saving time starts this Sunday, so make sure that you set your clocks forward, spring forward. And then also wanted to mention that the first Wednesday of every month, we're going to be doing a Eucharistic service at noon. Wednesday, the first Wednesday of every month, a masked Eucharistic service. So if that's something that you'd be interested in joining us in, just want to make you aware of that as well. Hope you are all well. Praying for you. Love you. See you soon.